Hello, everyone. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all our attendees. It's our privilege to have professionals from IT, digital, and marketing fields across industries like BFSI, realty, FMCG, EdTech, and many more joining us today. In continuation to our marketing automation learning series, we are happy to host WhatsApp in Salesforce Marketing Cloud session today. Over the last 2 quarters, we've received a lot of interesting queries for the WhatsApp feature release on Marketing Cloud. We have also implemented some great use cases for clients to seamlessly integrate their existing WhatsApp strategy with their choice of resellers in the SFMC ecosystem. Our speakers for today have carefully curated this webinar to cater to two of the most important factors pertaining to WhatsApp in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, which are how will WhatsApp add value to my omni-channel strategy? And the most important one, how do I go about integrating WhatsApp in my SFMC BU? Joining me today on our panel is Mr. Ayan Nandi, lead CRM strategist at Miram. He will be discussing on the importance of WhatsApp in a successful CRM strategy. Joining him will be Mr. Arun Iyer, marketing automation strategy consultant at Miram, who will shed some light on the WhatsApp feature integration and sample use cases. Our final speaker of the day will be Mr. Amit Khatri, Marketing Automation Program Manager at Miram, who will be sharing a new way of integrating your existing use cases into Marketing Cloud seamlessly. Please feel free to leave your comments or questions in the chat window of the webinar, and our panel will try to answer them over the next 30 to 35 minutes of this webinar. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Mr. Ayan to take the webinar forward with his section on importance of WhatsApp in successful CRM strategy.
Thanks a lot, Liza, for the welcome and the introduction. Hi, everyone. Welcome once again to the live session of WhatsApp in Salesforce Marketing Cloud platform. There's a lot of buzz right now about the WhatsApp messaging app, and of course, that's for a justified reason. WhatsApp has quickly emerged as the go-to messaging app for over 2 billion active users around the globe at any given point of time. It's the fast, simple, and convenient way for the family and friends to chat, create group texts, share photos and videos, send and receive documents, and engage in private and secure conversations anytime, day or night. Now, with the introduction of WhatsApp for Business, companies worldwide are intending to use it too. Now, we know that developing an effective customer service strategy requires effort, but we can facilitate processes using technological tools. Collectively, we are chasing the main goal of creating customers for life and at the same time, saving time and economic resources too. So through today's discussion, let's explore how WhatsApp platform can be used in our CRM and CLM related strategies. As we can see, like WhatsApp is actually helping brands to attract, engage, convert their customers into like a transactors and to retain them as well. WhatsApp enables us to create a very robust loyalty program to nurture and grow their customers as well. Now, a few of the most evident and undeniable benefits of the WhatsApp is its immediacy. Now, business can interact with their customers efficiently by using tools to automate, sort, and quickly respond to messages with WhatsApp service in place. Some of the advantages over the normal consumer WhatsApp versions are like quick replies. By using quick replies, you can save and reuse the messages we frequently need to send. This way, you can easily answer your most asked questions in no time, followed by automated messages. Just like chatbots, we can set automated messages when busy. For example, with automated messages, you can create a welcome message to introduce potential customers to your business. And then comes the message statistics, which is quite critical, as we all can understand, to get insights into essential matrices, such as how many of your messages are successfully sent, delivered, read, and so on and so forth. Now, then comes the WhatsApp helps us to create a superior brand connection as well. Apart from immediately responding to customer service queries and giving customers a great experience with WhatsApp, we can also create a great connection with the customers by making, for example, business profile. You can create a profile of your company with helpful information for your business, together with like business address, business description, email address, websites, etc. Now, giving feedback and doing consumer research is also something which WhatsApp can be utilized for. You can improve relationship with your customers by taking the interaction and participation to the next level. Using WhatsApp Business can be an inexpensive and quick way to do some research and generate customer feedback. You can get your customers to review your product or services, give them links which you can create in any of the survey platforms and share it with your customers to share their feedback and thought processes. You can also send reminders to your customers to get in touch with the customers, with status updates for their completed orders. You can keep your customers informed about their order status. You can also send them reminders for that matter. Then we will just quickly talk about the automated campaign engine based on life cycle, which is quite critical as far as CLM engine is concerned. It is important to understand the prospective and existing customers throughout their entire journey and their associated life cycles, or at least to know what happens with them through all contact moments and touch points between customers and the brand. Hence, by doing relevant segmentations, we can automate communications which will be properly targeted and appropriately timed based on customers' life cycle and journeys. Then we will quickly see what chatbots can do to optimize customer service related responses. As we all know and relate that for any big or small businesses or even startups for that matter, it can be really challenging to provide a 24/7 customer support desk for their customers. By using WhatsApp Business, we can respond to the questions of the customers which might be might have been directed towards the customer service team very quickly. At the same time, it provides relevant data to your customer service team, which definitely will be relevant when we do analyze the data and streamline the processes in the later part of the journey. Now, WhatsApp can also help us in customization of cohorts with communication. While cohorts can be built with any tool, but same can be customized together with a catchy communications and enriched creatives using WhatsApp. Now, there are a few more points like ease to generate templates pertaining to business objectives or ability to send enriched messages, higher ROI with these channels with impressive open rates and session engagements, which we are going to talk about in the upcoming slides. Now, we will have a quick look into the key success matrices and the reasons why brands should definitely go for WhatsApp channel as one of their key communication mediums going forward. To start with, I would say the immense worldwide reach is the answer. Now, WhatsApp has presence over 180 countries. It is available in 60 different languages. More than 2 billion monthly active users are using WhatsApp at any given point of time. It is the leading mobile messenger app in the world at present. It is the third most popular social platform worldwide, just after Facebook and YouTube. So we can imagine the kind of reach it has and what the potential of WhatsApp as a platform is having right now. Now, we'll talk about the impact it has and it can have when we have WhatsApp integrated in our business ecosystem. Now, India has world's second largest internet population at over 750 million users in 2020. Of these, 745 million users access the internet via their mobile phones. Now, estimates suggest that this figure would reach over 1.5 billion by 2040. So you can imagine the kind of potential it has again. Now, since WhatsApp, the highest smartphone penetration WhatsApp has, which is close to 95%, if not more, is the highest download from Play Store if we consider India. The third highest download from App Store in India. 40% of users reply to WhatsApp business messages. Now, WhatsApp messages can increase conversion by a whopping 112%. That's what has come out of our analysis. Now, all these numbers will definitely encourage brands and companies to integrate WhatsApp more and more into the ecosystem. Now, we will a little bit talk about the engagement part of it, which is quite critical, as we can understand. WhatsApp is the only widely used app we have ever seen that has more engagement and higher percentage of people using it daily than Facebook. Quite amazing, isn't it? Now, do we engage with the customers? Now, how do we engage with the customers? Now, labeling should be the first step towards it. Now, we need to make sure that we give the contacts a proper label. By default, WhatsApp already has a couple of different labels, but feel free to add your own as well when WhatsApp gets integrated with your marketing ecosystem. Now, the WhatsApp default labels, which WhatsApp provides, include new customers, new orders, pending payments, paid, and order complete. But yeah, as I earlier mentioned, you can obviously add your own labels as well. Now, after the contacts are labeled as required, it is easier to find them back within the application. Now we will just move on to the loyalty part of WhatsApp, which what we can do using WhatsApp. We can create a robust loyalty program around WhatsApp. Now, few key things which we might have to keep in mind while doing it. I mean, we have to recognize the customer's needs in the first place, and it has needs to be the priority and addressed properly. Now, connect and inform. I mean, the purchase or no purchase. I mean, passing relevant and on-time information to customers is important for a brand to earn their trust and, of course, a loyalty. Value their time. I mean, brands need to provide a seamless experience with faster delivery systems, which definitely WhatsApp provides, as we have seen earlier. Now, rewards is again like an essential part for any loyalty program for the matter. With change in customers' behavior, brand needs to reward customers for every engagement and not just purchase for better repeats. WhatsApp can be, the medium which might be used to notify the customers with relevant and engaging reward information. Next comes the advocacy. I mean, we have to create advocacy among our, among customers itself. Along with the engagement, referral marketing is something brands need to increase their focus on to garner new customers, and which can be facilitated by WhatsApp in place. Data-driven loyalty program, of course, I mean, data is the key thing. I mean, at present, I mean, as we all can understand, the insights brands had around customer behavior prior to COVID has evolved, and brands must renew their insights regarding customer behavior. And WhatsApp data will be of immense help in creating crisper SVOCs in going forward. Now, use of all these mentioned strategies around building customer loyalty, brands can definitely enhance the customer experience they provide. And last but not the least is the rich content which WhatsApp supports. We will have a quick look. I mean, what is the biggest reason marketers are using WhatsApp communication channel? Since like emails, WhatsApp also supports images, documents. You can send your catalog file to the customers just by a click of a button. You can send voice messages, videos, GIFs, and whatnot. And more importantly, the character limits much higher than any of the SMS or push notifications we can think of. Now, to summarize the whole discussion, we will now look at some of the promising numbers WhatsApp has achieved over the years. It has actually helped brands to achieve a profound relationship with the customers. Over 55% of the people feel more connected to a brand if they're using a messaging app. That's what the research says. Maintaining such a connection helps brands cut expenditures, as retention, as we all know, is much cheaper, like 5 to 25% cheaper than acquisition. Over 70% of the consumers say that they engage only with personalized marketing messages in place. We have a higher conversion rates with WhatsApp as well. Now, businesses say that customers answer 40% of their WhatsApp messages. Messaging after initial contact with the prospect can increase the conversion rate by as high as 112%, as I earlier mentioned. We can also achieve better sale numbers, which will be obviously evident from the upcoming numbers. Like WhatsApp phone number in your website may result in 27% more sales leads, which is quite amazing. At least 66% feel more optimistic about purchasing from a company if it is active on Messenger. Roughly 60% of the consumers believe they will use messengers more to make purchases in the future. Now, so we all have now a clear understanding why progressive businesses worldwide are excited about the potential of the WhatsApp platform. WhatsApp for Business allows developers to build new experiences that reach even more people in even more parts of the world and result in even more effective customer engagements. Let me just introduce and request my colleague and co-panelist, Mr. Arun Iyer, who will discuss the know-hows of a WhatsApp feature release on Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Over to you, Arun. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Ion. So yes, hello everybody and welcome to today's session on the usage of WhatsApp on your Salesforce Marketing Cloud account. So let's begin by understanding, now that we've taken a look at how useful WhatsApp is in the customer lifecycle and how effective it is, and the reason why these progressive brands are taking up WhatsApp as a viable communication channel, especially given the fact that there are 40% response rates, which is extremely high when it comes to channel engagement. Let's look at how you can basically integrate said WhatsApp channel into your Marketing Cloud account. So without any further ado, let's move into it. Just give me 1 second. All right. So there are two primary methods by which you can actually integrate the WhatsApp channel to your Marketing Cloud account. We'll be delving into each of these two methods, but I will essentially be looking at the first method. So just so we are all on the same page, the two methods that we were looking at is one where you have to create a new WhatsApp account and you want a direct integration with Marketing Cloud without any external sort of connectors. You can do that using Cinch, which is something that Salesforce Marketing Cloud has integrated with to make the implementation process of the WhatsApp channel way more convenient than what it used to be. The alternative is if you have a new account or if you have an existing account that you want to make use of, let's say you already have the WhatsApp opt-ins for your entire data set and you want to just directly make use of it in the Marketing Cloud. There's another method which we will delve into, which will be taken by my colleague Amit in the subsequent slides. For now, let's take a look at how the Cinch engagement and the Cinch implementation with Marketing Cloud is going to be achieved. So the only step that is offline is the very first step that we are looking at. The purchasing of the WhatsApp account is done via your Salesforce account executive. So the purchasing of the SKU is to be done offline. And it's just to keep in mind, it's different for your Marketing Cloud account as well as your Service Cloud account. So you can have two different channels, but you can't use the same channel to basically be a part of Marketing Cloud and Service Cloud. So that's just something to keep in mind. Also, the rest of the points that you can see on the screen right now, which is we will delve into each of these in the subsequent slides. But broadly, you download the Chat Messenger Setup app, you install it, just a bunch of clicks, you set up your account with WhatsApp via your Business Manager ID. You create your WhatsApp templates, get their approval, and once they are in place, you're essentially good to start with your communication. Usually the turnaround time for the implementation is a lot shorter because of the way it has been integrated with Cinch, but everything that is dependent on approvals, of course, depends on the WhatsApp approval time. So without any further ado, this is how we essentially get to the chat messenger setup. Essentially, Marketing Cloud is partnered with Cinch in order to set up this WhatsApp channel. And to download this app, you can either search within the App Exchange or click on the welcome email you would receive from the Salesforce executive. Or even when you log into your Marketing Cloud account, there's usually a splash screen where if you scroll, one of the screens will be a link to basically get to the WhatsApp App Exchange link. So you can, all you need to do is just hit get it now, which you see on the right. And once you've done that, you can directly install it within your Salesforce Marketing Cloud account. And once the Salesforce Marketing Cloud has accepted this installation, you will find it under the App Exchange tab under the name Chat Messaging Setup. This is where your Cinch chat messenger will be sitting. Once you click into it, your Cinch setup is essentially ready, and it's for you to start configuring your WhatsApp account. So in order to do that, you need to first pull up your Facebook Business Manager account. Messenger account. That's a particular ID that you need to set up in order to start using your WhatsApp account. So WhatsApp account can have the brand identifiers, which is the account name, but a WhatsApp account can have multiple channels, and each channel, we'll take a look at how those get set up. Each channel can have its own look and feel for the various purposes that the brand might want to use them for. So a very simple three-step process by which you can set up your WhatsApp business account, get the registrations out of the way. Once you have entered your Facebook Business Manager ID, you essentially wait for the status to go onboarded. This usually takes a little bit of time because there is a little bit of an approval process that happens on the backend. Once it's approved, the account name gets onboarded, and you can start creating the various channels that you want to exist under the account name that you've created. So the WhatsApp channel configuration is where the branding assets essentially go, right? And this is what the end user will essentially see when they receive these communications. It involves setting up the account, which you've already done in the previous step. It also involves setting up a channel name. Now, for this example, we've used the support as an example, but it could be info, it could be reservation updates, something to that effect, which you find more fitting to your brand requirements. And of course, there is a phone number that gets associated once your account gets created, and you will need to associate that with the channel. And once you have the branding assets configured, this is essentially how they look at the end. So now that you have your channel set up, you have your account set up, it's time to essentially set up the messaging that you would want to set within Marketing Cloud, so you can manage it within the Journey Builder. So there are two types of messages that we'll be looking at within WhatsApp. Um, Primarily, WhatsApp is a transaction-based channel. It's the most active channel for most users, because it's always present, it's always in front of you, and it's the most used, especially in places like in our country. And when you have transactional messages set up there, there's an opportunity for that transactional message to essentially move into a session message. So what is a transactional message? It's pretty self-explanatory. Any messages that are related to any user, any offline or online transaction which has a response associated with it, which could be like a reminder or a order confirmation or some sort of a details message. All of that essentially falls under the transactional message unit. It's also important to keep in mind that the transactional messages need to be approved by WhatsApp before you send it to your users. So this is done via a templatization approach, which we'll look at in the subsequent slides. But you also need to ensure that you have the opt-ins before you start sending these messages to your end users. And these opt-in messages are something that you'll need to have either taken offline or online, but you need to have it in one consolidated place before we start sending these messages. Otherwise, the account starts getting affected if there aren't any opt-ins. So it's important to be very careful when we start off with the messaging approach. Um, but the most important part here is essentially the session messaging. While the transactional message is the driver of our communication, the session messaging is essentially where the one-way communication is turned into a two-way communication. These are essentially responses that users respond to. It's user initiated. So once the initiation happens, then it goes into a free-form communication, and in that process, the content does not need to be approved. So while it's important to ensure that you don't use phishing languages and you keep the brand guidelines in mind, but this is where free-form communication can lead to a lot of the upsell opportunities my colleague had mentioned in his section. So let's take a look at some of the use cases when it comes to transactional messages. The obvious use cases are your reservation updates, ticket updates, alerts, and any shipping updates that you might have, but also any resolution that you seek, or any updates that you would want from the brand side. So these are essentially our traditional transactional use cases. Once these have been set up, a traditional session use case is where the platform can listen to some keywords whereby the conversation can be maneuvered to be both value added for the end client, for the end consumer, and also creates these opportunities for the brands. So the session use cases are, let's say, even if you have an offline requirement for a quick catch up, let's say you're on a banking line and there is a way by which I can directly ask an important question before even reaching the teller. That is something that you can set up with by using a QR code. Once the scan happens, you're essentially in business with that consumer. So it's important to keep in mind the session usages have to have a lot of thought that is put behind it. So all of the opportunities that you see where session messages can come into play will have to be carefully strategized with the content team and thereby directed it. So we'll take a look at some of these messages in action within the Journey Builder. Let's start with the transactional message use case that we saw a little while earlier, essentially shipping information. So any of your recent customers that have made any sort of purchases or have made some sort of a return order or something to that effect, this is where your shipping information use case can come into play. Let's take a look at how we first set up the message for this approval. As I had highlighted, this is a transactional message, so it needs the approval before you can start using it. So let's take a look at how you create the message, how do you get the approval, and once you have the approval, how do you use it within Journey Builder. So first, you can hover over the app exchange where you have the chat messaging setup. This is where Cinch allows you to create your chat templates. Once you go into it, you have two sections essentially, which is the pending message templates, which are required some sort of an approval, or maybe they get rejected for X, Y, and Z reasons. Then you have your approved templates. That's the ones that you can use. For now, in our case, we'll create a new template. It's on the right side of the window. Once you go into it, you can configure your message template by first attaching it to the account that you want to use it with. As highlighted earlier, there's going to be a single account, can have multiple channels, but this is where that happens. Once you have the account configured, there are some categories under which the template essentially will fall under. This can be selected within the drop-down menu under the template category. In our case, we'll be using shipping update. Once we have that set up, this is where the messaging within the body can be created. Here, as my colleague also mentioned, rich media can be used, but initially, more importantly, what you would want is to also have the right kind of information. So you personalize the information to the person, the receiver's name, the receiver's order ID, and the order information that you would want, and also any of the shipping information that you've collected. So it's also important to ensure that the data strategy that you've put into place has all of those things within Marketing Cloud so that you can pull them up where required. As you can see in the message body, under the curly brackets is where the dynamic elements essentially go. So once you've set up this template, it goes for approval. And let's assume in our case, the approval is received. You will see it in the approved message templates. And now let's use it within Journey Builder. So for Journey Builder, we are going to use the entry source as a data extension. So when I say an entry source is essentially for a Journey Builder, where do the consumers essentially come into the journey? And in our case, we'll be using the data extension, which is basically a table filled with records of your consumers or customers and their information. So essentially, any new customer that enters into that table essentially also gets pushed into this journey. What we are looking at is for the shipping information related customers, the ones that recently have purchased, they essentially get entered into this data extension. They receive the very first message, which is the shipping information, the shipping update that we want to share with that person. Now that we've created the message template, let's go and select that message within the content builder. It's once you've found the message template that has been approved, you click and select it. Once you've selected it, you need to just point Journey Builder to what phone number it's going to go into. So basically, it's going to look for any phone number that is a mobile valid phone number. Once you point it out, the messages will be sent to that person's mobile number. So with that, it's as simple as that. You've set up an always on journey where anyone that enters into this data extension, which qualifies as a recent purchase, essentially get this update. Once we have this update, that's where, as I said, the magic essentially happens, right? This is where two-way communication is possible to be triggered. And let's take a look at that use case and how that is, at some level fundamentally different from the Journey Builder use case that we've seen right now. So the user-initiated communication that we'll be looking at requires a very different approach, especially when it comes to the input source. What we've looked at in the previous example was the input source was a table in which the recently purchased customers enter and hence are entered into the journey. But when it comes to user-initiated communication, we'll have to set up a separate journey which looks for inbound chat. This is where the Journey Builder and Marketing Cloud essentially listens to keywords that are happening within the WhatsApp channel that you've already set up. Now, the strategy that you'd want to apply here will essentially be specific to the kind of use cases that you want. We looked at the bank teller the use case, but in this particular use case, let's assume that it's a simple hi or a hello sort of triggered communication. Once a hi or a hello is heard on the WhatsApp channel, that's when two-way communication can be set up. What it essentially is looking for is some sort of a response that happens after the hi and hello. Once the hi and hello happens, a default message can be set up within Journey Builder and the WhatsApp channel, where a default message says, "Hello, welcome to brand X, Y, and Z. How can we help you?" Right? The next response that we are expecting from the user, that's where the strategy essentially comes into play. That's where we'll set up something called as a wait until response style, where we'll listen to certain keywords. And if the keywords contain product information, shipping, or store hours, that's where our communication essentially will branch into. So we'll have to ensure that for each of these keywords that we've set up, there is a communication path and a communication plan such that they are manageable. It's also important to note that, let's say, if any of the responses that are shared after you've said the hi hello message, after you responded to the hi hello message, if there are no keywords that match to it, then essentially it's an invalid response. Or if there are no responses, you need to be able to address that also. For both these responses, you'll want to set up some sort of an appropriate trial, and we'll look into each of those in the subsequent slides. So once we have the keyword set up, what we are currently looking at is, if let's say the person wants more information about the product, the communication can continue within WhatsApp, because you want to use rich media text to highlight some key products that you want to bring to that person's interest. Now, let's say this is where the journey builder mechanism essentially comes into play. Let's say the person is more interested or is a high value spender when it comes to winter gear. You'd want to show them winter gear apparel. That's the kind of communication strategy that you can set up. Let's say if it's more about shipping, then you'd want to highlight some of the invoice details and some of the live shipping information. Let's say if it's with FedEx, you want to push that through the email channel. And so what you essentially can do is, via WhatsApp, expand the multi-channel approach that you'd want to have, and thereby actually increase the engagement in those other channels also. So it's kind of important to keep that in mind, that a session user message within Journey Builder can also invariably end up with a multi-channel sort of approach. Let's say if there was no response, sorry, if it's an invalid response, a default option can be shared saying, while we don't have what you're searching for, we can get someone to respond back to you as an offline call. That's where you can raise a support case with Service Cloud in case you already have one, and the offline team can essentially reach out. If you don't have Service Cloud, you can update that information within Marketing Cloud, get that information to your service team via some sort of an automation, and they can reach out. So essentially, you can cover all your bases as long as you've thought the journey through. So let's take a look at example of how, once this is set up, how it looks on the receiver's end. So let's say we are Rachel Morris, a customer that wants to know more about something with the brand. So it starts with a hi. The immediate greeting message is sent. This is where, let's say, product information is shared. The communication reads, what kind of product would you want? And appropriate rich text and rich media is followed up with that information. So this, with the end, can also lead to a direct upsell or a cross-sell opportunity. This is just scratching the surface with the kind of value add that you can bring to the consumer, and thereby to the brand themselves. Finally, you'd want to take a look at how those performances actually did. If there are wrong ways that the journey has been set up, this is an ideal way to take a look at it and find the areas where things don't work and go back, make those changes. For now, the analytics essentially gives you two views, which is the delivery rate and how many people have not been delivered, and also gives you an open rate. Which allows you to understand how much of those messaging actually works within WhatsApp channel. And as you can see, even here, it's a roughly about 38%, which is, as far as we are concerned, not a bad idea to start off with. So now we've looked at how Cinch can be set up with Marketing Cloud. Let's take a look at, if you already have your WhatsApp channel, if you or maybe if you're getting a new one but want to use another approach, this is where my colleague can come in and help you set that up. On to you, Amit.
Thanks for this session, Arun. So basically, in case any clients don't want a custom integration with WhatsApp, so Miram has created its own accelerator that is called Chat Connect. This is completely in-house that we have created, and the benefit of this integration is like you can connect with any WhatsApp partner. It's like you are not restricted when one specific chosen Salesforce partner. So in case you have an existing partner, you can connect with them, or in case you want to procure a new account and you want to choose your own partner based on certain features or like pricing, whatever reasons, like you can choose them, and like we can connect your Salesforce Marketing Cloud account with that partner. Another benefit in this case is like many customers who are having that existing WhatsApp account, they also have this existing like database of customers who have opted in for their WhatsApp like to receive communication from them. Now in this case, like that since you are using the existing number, you can continue to use that existing database and you don't need to take user opt-ins all over again. So these are some of the benefits of, and also like since you have maintained that brand reputation with that number with your customers, so when you are continuing with that existing number, you can like take continue with that reputation, and users will not get confused with like multiple numbers. So these are some of the benefits of like using Miram's Chat Connect and using this custom integration. I'll just quickly show how this works. Before that, this integration, like Salesforce Marketing Cloud, we connect like Salesforce Marketing Cloud with your preferred WhatsApp vendor. And how we do it is like we deploy this Chat Connect application on your server, on your premise, or we can do it on cloud server. And this is where like the Chat Connect application will be deployed. So this application works as a gateway between Marketing Cloud and WhatsApp partner, so that all the interface, user interface within Marketing Cloud is served from here, and then the messages are passed to the WhatsApp, and like reporting and everything are then also synced to Marketing Cloud with the help of this independent server. We'll just look at like how this interface looks like. So once this application is enabled, you will see on your Journey Builder dashboard, you will be able to see one more custom activity that is for WhatsApp. And you can just simply drag and drop it on your Journey dashboard to send WhatsApp messages. Once you do this, and like once you click on this activity and you can configure it. So here also you have a data extension as your input source. Once you do that, as Arun mentioned, like you need to have all your templates approved for sending out any transactional messages. So we fetch those approved templates with the help of like our dashboard, and those templates can be selected from here in the drop down. Okay, and once you select any of these templates, you will see like what is that template contain. Like, so for example, in this case, this is an order confirmation template. So it says dear one. So this one is like, nothing but a personalization parameter, which will get replaced by your preferred field, and the message and the order ID amount. So these all are variables like a standard WhatsApp template. So that our template gets displayed over here. And then after selecting the template, you can select from to which field in your input data extension this messages should go from. So if in case there are multiple mobile numbers, so you can always select like which is the primary WhatsApp number to which you want to send the messages to. So once you select these basic details, then you can select the personalization parameters. So personalization parameters, like again, all of like variable 1, 2, 3, you can select against each of them, like which field from your input data extension has to be taken in as a data source for that variable. In case you can also provide a default value here. So in case at some place the data is empty or something like that, so you can mention what should be the value in that case. So for example, if customer name is missing, maybe you can have dear customer or something like that. to address your customers. Same way for emails, you can decide like, if the value is not there, then what should be the default value. Once you select all these parameters, you go on to the confirmation screen. So in confirmation screen, you can see all the values which you had selected so far. Here you can also, then after verifying all the details, you can validate. Okay. And once you validate, like, all the things are okay, finally, you come back to your journey dashboard and it's ready to, like, send out the WhatsApp communication. Then we'll also quickly look at the reports. Like, reports are synced onto Marketing Cloud directly on a, like, daily scheduler basis. So the reporting in SFMC for WhatsApp is done via DE creation. So all the data is put in a data extension within Marketing Cloud for the reports. The data which gets imported is like, mobile number, the status of the message, like, is it send, delivered, read, like what is the status. And for each of those statuses, you also get to see, like, what was the time when that message was sent or delivered. You can also know, like, what is the journey name and for journey version from which that message was sent. So all this information you can track within SFMC. And all these reports are like, vendor specific. So as your vendor, what kind of reports data they are providing, these reports are imported according to that. If they are providing some additional data, we can also configure according to that. So that is how this entire thing works. Over to you, Lisa, for the final comments.
Thank you, Amit. It was amazing to learn how easily an existing WhatsApp strategy can be integrated in Salesforce Marketing Cloud. We would now like to open the session for question and answers received from our attendees today. We have a lot of questions and we'll try to answer them. Our first question is to the panel. Is there any limitation on countries we can send WhatsApp messages? Example, if I am from India, can I send messages to other countries?
Well, I will take that, Liza. Yeah, business app is designed for small businesses to message their customers. I mean, like with the app, there's no particular, like messaging limitations as long as the business abides by the WhatsApp's business policy and commerce policy. So as long as the message which you are sending is actually, abiding by the rule of the land or the law of the land, it should not be a problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ayan. Second question is, can I target non-opted-in users through SFMC WhatsApp? These are the users whose phone number I have from offline store purchase.
So WhatsApp do not recommend, like, to send out messages to non-opt-in customers. And at any given point of time, they may ask for the opt-in data. And it is not recommended to send messages to non-opt-in customers. User has to opt in to receive WhatsApp messages specifically.
Got it. Our third question is, at what stage is it ideal to have a WhatsApp send in my journey? Can I start with WhatsApp or should it come after an email or an SMS in the journey?
Yeah, I think that has been responded to within the chat itself, but just for the sake of brevity, essentially you'd want to send approved templates only. So it couldn't, I mean, you'll have to ensure that that has a valid reason for why that is sent as a transactional message. So it usually has to follow some sort of a user interaction. So it's important to keep that in mind. There's no hard and fast rules, but given the sensitivity of the channel, it's important to, manage this because WhatsApp has a lower tolerance than, let's say, an SMS channel for the kind of communication that is sent.
Got it. Great. Thank you so much, our panelists today. I think we are kind of running a little short on time, but yes, we will make sure to kind of, answer the other questions, reach out to each one of you individually and answer these for you. It's so exciting to be a part of this vibrant marketing automation industry where there are new ideas and concepts flowing every day. Please feel free to share your ideas, concepts, or requirements with us, and we can help you brainstorm, solution architect, and bring it to life. We have received a lot of interesting questions today, but as I said, it's impossible to answer all of them. So me, Liza Marandi, and my team Vidya Kanikar and Aishwarya Vaidyanathan will reach out to you and answer your queries in person. If required, we can also fix up one-to-one sessions with all of our speakers with you, depending on your requirement of WhatsApp CRM strategy or the omni-channel strategy, or if you have an integration requirement. We will reach out to you personally and ensure that we can get you a session with our speakers today. I'd like to thank each one of you for your time on the webinar. We look forward to hosting you on our next webinar on Miram's Accelerator Go URL, a one-stop solution for all URL shortening needs. Stay safe and have a great day. Miram team signing off. Thank you, everyone.